we go back to the first presenter, Valerie Wagoner, Zipdial mobile marketing and analytics platform.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I'll just jump right in. I'm founder and CEO of Zipdial. We're a Bangalore-based company, and this is the market that is, everyone in this kind of market that we all know and well from especially the first two presentations are now connected on the mobile, but have very, very limited means to connect. So what we've done is create a way for them to engage with the brands and products that they like and drive value for the entire ecosystem. So we'll talk more about that. So just to take a second, look at these numbers for these different brands and think about where do you think these numbers are coming from? So, we're looking at, for Disney, 6.5 lakh on the left and nearly 10 lakh on the right. And just take a moment to think about where you think those numbers are coming from. Those are numbers of unique people engaging through a certain platform. So if you go to the next slide, the ones on the right are actually Zipdial. And that's pretty meaningful especially when you take into account the time it took to activate users on those platforms. On average, it's a case of 9.5 times faster rate of acquisition of users and activation of users on Zipdial than on Facebook. And Facebook, of course, is the strongest, next to that. So what that means is, the important takeaway there is that a mobile-first approach is absolutely critical. It doesn't matter, what the fancy thing is that's happening in the UK or Singapore or the US. The point is there are billions of consumers and billions of people in India who have a very different way of using the mobile. My history, 3 years, that I spent 3 years before starting Zipdial 3 years ago was in branchless baking, not baking, banking, like Violet, but through the technology side, a company called MCheck. So spending a lot of time hands-on understanding how the mass market actually uses the mobile, and it's very, very different. Things like, even in the US, QR codes don't work, so it's just irrelevant. And, sending a coupon code via SMS doesn't work. And, putting a Facebook logo on a product package that, with no other call to action, it doesn't help consumers actually participate. So we said, let's think about the consumer's actual story and their lifestyle and where they're spending their time. And they're spending their time interacting with the real world, whether it's television or live events or outdoor or print, et cetera. That's where they're interacting with advertisers and brands and the brands and products that they love. So let's make the experience for them simple. What do people love doing on the phone? Missed calls. When I don't have to have a smartphone, I don't have to know how to send an SMS, I don't have to be literate at all as long as I know numbers and I can dial and participate. So that missed call experience starts the engagement, and then it continues from there in a very user-friendly way. So that's the value for the consumer side, is the point that now 100% of people, regardless of what phone I'm carrying, what operator network I'm on, how much balance I have on my prepaid SIM, et cetera, what language I speak, now everyone can participate. The value that this creates for the advertisers is multifold. The first is understanding their media better, being able to track where are people participating from. There's an amazing amount of insight that you can drive by, it's basically like applying Google Analytics to your real world ads and to your traditional media, and the kind of value you can get out of that intelligence. The next is increasing the reach of your media. So, and what we've proven through Zipdial's unique modes, as well as through posting on social media, et cetera, being able to increase the reach of a campaign by nearly 185%, or nearly tripling the impact of any particular media. Plus, another point of value is understanding who's actually buying your products. If you're a Unilever or a USL, for example, these two case studies, You know that you've sold so many products in a particular region through a particular distributor, but you have no idea who's buying those products, who likes those products, who doesn't like them, who had a good experience or a bad experience, who's a repeat user, who's not. And that kind of intelligence is really valuable for the kind of more appropriate and personalized marketing that you can do with your consumers. So that, so the important thing to remember is that it's a completely toll-free experience for users. So therefore making it accessible to 100% of the market. The consumer never pays for any of the interaction. And the business model is a B2B business model driven by folks like these case studies I've shown, who pay Zipdial to run the platform. Now, you can see these are just a few examples. Disney, Gillette, the next one is Cadbury. You can click through. The next one, Cadbury, just to give you a sense of how their usage and user base has developed over time on Zipdial as they continue to use it. So up in the lakhs and millions of users for each of these different brands. And the other important thing about the ecosystem and the value that it's creating, we talked about consumers, we talked about the advertisers themselves, and then a common question is, well, what do operators think when this is a toll-free experience for users? How are they earning anything? These are, keep in mind, just go up one. These are hundreds of millions of interactions, and we literally have, we're clocking somewhere near to 420 million interactions on Zipdial that never before existed. These are people who are not going to scan a QR code, not going to send an SMS, not going to, go to a Facebook link through their data plan on their phone. These are completely new interactions that are happening and driving value for consumers and advertisers, and then therefore for operators as well, who are earning a lot of revenue indirectly. And the particularly fun thing is that this is not just relevant to India, but this is relevant to pretty much half of the world. We call it missed calls here in India, but there's lots of other names for it in other parts of the world. And that's one thing that Zipdial is very, very proud of as we are expanding into Asia and then eventually beyond that, is that we are really a from India company and a from India story that hopes to really continue innovating and changing the value proposition for all these stakeholders globally.